Today we're going to talk about how I was able to buy over 4,000 bulk remote controls for $449 delivered to my door, and how we'll sell them for hopefully over $15,000 in profit, not gross, in profit, on today's episode of the Rockstarflipper YouTube channel. Yeah, welcome back in, guys. Thanks for joining me. Today is another Saturday. It's October 19th, 2024. In this video, I put up a short on TikTok and Instagram. If you don't follow me, go do so. Down in the description box is my Rockstarflipper Instagram and Casey Rockstarflipper TikTok. I put up a video showing how I bought these for $449 and our estimated sales amount and sort of the process of getting them in. And people loved it, so I figured I'll put one here on YouTube for everybody. If you don't know and you're new here, specialize in remote controls. I've sold hundreds of thousands of them, if not a million remote controls in my life. That's not an exaggeration. Literally, I have bought and sold hundreds of pallets with thousands of remotes per pallet in my life. So in the last probably 5-6 years. So this is my niche. This is what I do. And I'm going to show you guys just a little bit of how I do it and answer some of the most frequently asked questions I got over on TikTok and Instagram. So number one, the most asked question, which I'm just going to cover to begin with, is where do you get pallets of remotes like this? And so the obvious answer, and this will be almost any reseller, is I'm not going to tell you my source. But what I will tell you is, take, for example, tools and video games. I used to sell a lot of those items back in the day, 8-10 years ago, before remotes and everything I do now. I used to get them at pawn shops. I used to make a circle. We have hundreds of pawn shops in the greater Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Clearwater, Sarasota, Orlando area. There's probably 200 or 300 pawn shops, half of them corporate, half of them mom and pops. I would wake up in a day and know that it would take me 30 minutes in a pawn shop, 30 minutes to get to the next one, an hour per, and I would go to 6 or 8 pawn shops a day and try to buy 5, 10, 15 items and come home with 80, 100 items. If I told you guys that I bought remote controls from pawn shops, which I don't, clearly, but if I told you that, there's a chance you might not know the exact pawn shop I'm getting most of my stuff from, but you could stumble upon it. Same story with this. Where I get these remotes, there's hundreds of them across the country. What I don't do, however, is tell people the exact ones that I do business with. You guys can do business with tons of them, but my suppliers are my suppliers. And of course I wouldn't want somebody coming in and taking that. So that's first question. Second question is, how do we get them so cheap? It's just the way it is. These get sold because they're not really worth that much to anyone except somebody like me. Other people, they just want them gone. They get rid of them. So the average pallet, it usually has at least 2,500 if it's full. Sometimes you can get as many as 3,000 remote controls. These pallets are close to 1,000 pounds. And if you go weigh a remote control, a normal remote, depending whether it has batteries or not, it's, on average, depending on the size, something like this might be 3 ounces. Something like a heavier one, this one might be 6 ounces. So in theory, you get about 3 remotes per pound. So if this is a 1,000-pound pallet, you're going to get about 3,000 remotes on the pallet. Now, I also bought a second pallet, but it's only about a quarter to a third of the way full. So I figure there's probably only about 1,000 in there. 3,000 here, 4,000 remote controls, $449, $450. Now this, thankfully, did not have to be shipped in. It was close enough to be driven. So obviously it's in the state of Florida. That's all I'm going to tell you. If it had been shipped in, it would have cost me the average pallet, depending on how far across the country it goes, somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 to $500 in shipping. Adding that little one on there, this easily could have taken me from $450 to about $1,000. Still would have been an amazing deal. I'm fine with that as long as my cost of a full pallet is under $1,000. So I would have put this one at like $800 and that one at $200 if it had cost me $1,000 to get shipped in. Under $1,000, I'm generally in gold shape. I could pay more, but that's generally where I'd like to stay, is around $750, $800, $900 or less. Now, the fact that these were able to be brought to me and I was able to essentially have them picked up by somebody, $450 for both. I'm putting this one at $400 and that one at $50. Gold. Like this is a dream. And the quality of this pallet, not all pallets are amazing. This one is really, really good quality. So that's the financials of it. That's what the cost is. Now, when you divide that out, if we say, let's just say I had got this for $450, right? And that one didn't exist. 3,000 remote controls, right? For $450. Well, 10 cents would have been $300. So it's about 15 cents a remote. But we're going to recycle and throw away, not throw away, but I have a company that comes and scraps them, but they're throwaway for us. At least probably a third. About 1,000 of these are going to be no good, not sellable, junk, trash, or there are some remote controls that you're just not allowed to sell. Time Warner, for example, is one you can't sell. So I'm only gonna have about 2,000 remotes left. So if we do the 2,000 remotes at about 20 cents a piece, that's your 400 bucks. So these are running me about, the good ones that I'm gonna sell, about 20 cents, sometimes 25 cents. And that's where I get my cost. I generally don't like to be into a remote control for less or more than 50 cents, excuse me. I know that sounds crazy. What's my average sale price? On eBay, currently my average sale price on remote controls is about $21 to $22. The fees and the shipping on that, shipping's generally about $4 to $4.50, sometimes $5. And the fees are a couple dollars. I do 2% promoted, so another 30, 40 cents. So you're looking at somewhere around $7 to $8. Call it $8 out of pocket. That leaves me about $14 per remote, net, clean, clear, bam, every time one sells. So 14 remotes, if you can just sell 10 a day, you can make 140 bucks. You can make almost $4,500 a month if you're just selling 10 remotes a day. The sell-through rate on remotes, pretty darn good. To sell 10 a day, you probably only need about 1,000 remotes active. We do sell probably higher sell-through rates than that, depending on when the new remotes come in and what their quality is. You could do even 1.5% a day, which means if you had 1,000, you'd be selling 15 a day. So you can see how it can add up. Also, I cannot possibly sort, process, and list all of that on my own. So we do sell some wholesale boxes from time to time. I have a wholesale site that I list these on. I think there's a few boxes up right now. Since I got these in, I'll build 3 or 4. We do not cherry pick them. When I build the boxes, whatever is there, because there's good stuff at the top of this, the middle of this, and there's good stuff always buried at the bottom. So whenever the order comes in for the box, that's when we'll take 100. We'll wipe them down, get them cleaned. We do not test them. They are as-is boxes because we haven't tested any of this. And we put them into the boxes and we ship them out. They're not cherry picked. We don't go through here and do all the sorting beforehand of what's good and bad. It's just as we get to it, as we dig through it, we get to it. Now, the testing, that's what a lot of people like to ask me. How do we test them? When we sell individually on eBay, how do we test them? So I'll take, a perfectly good example of one right here. Any one of these we could take. This one's probably good. So most remotes have a laser light at the top, right? If you put fresh batteries in these remotes, which we do, we have hundreds of fresh batteries we always keep in stock, AA, AAA, D batteries. Some of these take some weird watch batteries. We keep all that in stock, along with some of the specialty ones that have their own chargers or cradles. I own a charger and cradle for almost every model of those special remotes. There's like 10 of them. So we can always test them. That's how we do it. Batteries in, point it at your phone in selfie mode and click. Right now I'm recording this video in selfie mode. So if this had fresh batteries in it, which it doesn't, I would hold that up and the light would light up in there and you'd be able to see it. Now this has got dead batteries because it's been in a pallet for who knows how long, but that's the general way that you would do it. And a lot of them have lights like that. And again, all these batteries are dead, so you have to put fresh batteries in it. Every once in a while, one has a live battery, but you would see that light up. It works better in Android for some reason. It's weird. I'm an Apple fan all the way. I'm on an iPhone 15 Plus right now, Pro Max. It works better in Android and tablets. It does well in iPads. So if it doesn't necessarily show up in your iPhone, try it in an Android or a tablet device, and sometimes it'll show up. We have piles of remotes that we test, and they don't have lights, but then we test them in a different device and the lights light up and we're like, wow, we would have gotten rid of that half. Instead, they're good. Now, if they don't have one of those lights like we just talked about, and I should have had this handy for the video, that's my mistake. You use one of these little things. This is a bug laser IR RF detector. So you just pop this thing up, you can turn it on to loud or vibrate, and then you'll point and you'll shoot, and this thing will vibrate or light up, and it will tell you if it's detecting those radio frequency RF frequencies. Things like a Bose surround sound speaker remote, that is not going to have a light that lights up. Bam, on there, all set, ready to go. Somebody told me that there's an app in the App Store that can do that. I don't know that I trust that. I use this thing. So 20 bucks, eBay, Amazon. I'll link one below. I'll find this one that we bought and link it below, or one close to it. I think we paid $19.99 for this thing. So great to have. We keep it handy. All we do is sit it on the desk, pop it up like that. Beep, beep, beep. We can process, test, and go through hundreds of remotes a day. And then we can spend the next day listing them. If we have them all cleaned and tested, ready to go, we have 100 of them. If there's 2 of us working, we can generally do about 50 each if that's our whole day. That's what you should target. If you're listing 40, 50 remotes a day all week long, you are going to sell remotes. You're going to move them. Now, a lot of people that buy remotes on eBay also deal in DVD, CD, DVD, VCR combos. And what they do is they'll buy one of these remotes for, say, 20 bucks. they'll buy a DVD VCR combo for like 20 bucks. They'll test it all out. Everything's working. They put the remote and the combo player together and they sell it for like 140, 160 bucks. They're into both for 40. They list it for 140, 160, and it will sell because they have the remote with it. I sell to a lot of those guys. They're regular buyers. They contact me. They ask me if I have certain remotes for the combo players they need, and that's what we sell. So that should just about cover everything that you guys asked. So average sale price, you can easily get it to $20. You can easily buy these for cheap. You can find these at thrift stores even and estate sales for $1. If you're buying a remote, I just picked one up. This one's probably like a $20 remote. Buy this at an estate sale or a thrift store for $1 or $2. It's still a good flip and it'll sell pretty quickly. These Pioneer ones, what brands are good to look for? Pioneer, Kenwood, they're all good. This is a brand, it's called Marantz, M-A-R-A-N-T-Z, Marantz, good brand. Pioneer, Kenwood. Some of these ceiling fans, GE and ceiling fan ones, they'll sell for 15 and 20 bucks. They do pretty well. Time Warner is one. Do not buy Time Warner. Do not buy Charter. Those two are really bad Vero brands, which means they'll take you down. Things that are common, like the Amazon Fire Stick ones, like these Fire TVs, these are cheap. They sell for like $12, 10, 12 bucks. They're quick, they'll sell, but they're just really cheap, right? You're only gonna pocket like $5 on this thing. So keep that in mind. It's easy for us though, because we have so much of them. We already have this item listed, so all Kate will do is clean it out, test it, make sure it's good, and she'll add it to the quantity. She doesn't have to make a new listing. And so that just takes her a second. So it's worth it for us, even though we only get $5. And when they sell, it just drops in an envelope and goes. And sometimes people will buy 2 and 3 at a time. So that helps out as well. So that's pretty much the story on the pallets. I mean, that's how we do it. That's our daily routine. We sort out the junk. We sort out the stuff that goes to my recycler, and then we sort the rest for listing. If we sell a box of wholesale, we'll pop that up and we'll ship it out to you guys. I think there's only a few available right now because I don't know what's in this pallet completely in order for me to guarantee those boxes. I know I can build 3 or 4 of them for sure. Usually I'll sell about 10 out of this pallet. So we'll see. We still got the other one over there. So that's it. The wholesale site's below. This remotes along with a bunch of other good stuff is on the site. Go check it out, please. Bookmark it, as we'll be adding wholesale lots every single day. I know I have some emails with about 10 or 12 more to add that are not remotes. They're clothing, they're electronics, they're other stuff. So that's the story on the remote controls. Everybody asked to see it. This is what 4,000 or so remote controls, 4,500 maybe, looks like. That's what it costs. That's what we'll sell it for. And that's our daily routine. My eBay store is linked below. If you don't think that we sell that many remotes, feel free. Go check it out. As always, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the channel. Thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, all that good stuff that we ask you to do here. Because it does. It means a lot to us, and it means a lot that you're here on the channel. So have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, and I'll see everyone next time.